All right, what's up, everybody? Peter Valley here. I have a very special guest. We have Jesse, who is a full-time eBay seller. Now, in this video, in this interview we're going to do, I'm as much of a student as I am, definitely not a teacher, but as much as I am the interviewer. Like, I'm here to ask questions of Jesse because I want to learn more about eBay myself. I've had personally negative experience with eBay, but when I met Jesse, he is just killing it on eBay selling books. And so I want to get into his entire eBay book selling business. He's into there's several interesting things about Jesse we'll get into. Number one, the type of books he sells. Number two, he sourced a lot of his books on the road, which we'll get into. He supports his whole family doing this. There's just a lot of interesting stuff going on here. So first of all, Jesse, you and I met under some very interesting circumstances. Can I tell that story?
Oh, sure.
It was funny because I posted like a 2-minute video about this on the YouTube channel a while ago, but I was literally driving through North Dakota. If you look at Minot, North Dakota, Jesse, you can back me up or not. It's got to be one of the most geographically isolated towns in the country because you're all the way up by the Canadian border. You're not even on a major interstate, and you're like right in the middle of one of the most like desolate states in the country. And other than Alaska, I don't know a lot of towns that are that kind of far off the map. So I'm in Minot, North Dakota, driving westward, and I'm sitting on a bench downtown Minot, just like eating my Noodles and Company tofu and noodles. And I hear somebody say, "Peter." And I'm on the edge of the earth, so I'm not expecting to run into people I know. So I look up and I see Jesse, and I was very standoffish. I was like, "Do I know you, dude? Like, I didn't
Yeah.
know where this is going." And he's, "Hey, I actually saw you, I recognize you from YouTube," which is which is weird. 'Cause what you're watching right now is probably the smallest YouTube channel in the world, so it's not something I expected. So anyway, we ended up talking and learned a lot about his business. Hung out for a couple days, pretty interesting. So turns out we're in a lot of the same weird stuff. Jesse and I were in the same room randomly like 15 years ago. We figured out we won't even get into that, but there's just a lot of synchronicity here. Okay, Jesse, you sell books on eBay. Okay. Do you sell anywhere other than eBay?
No, just eBay. And then if I find like clothes or something, I'll throw them on Facebook Marketplace, but rarely anything else. It's mostly eBay.
Okay, awesome. I'm here to learn because after talking to you, I started to give eBay in my head a kind of a second chance because I've had a lot of negative experiences and you definitely inspired me. So let's get into it. You support your entire family right now. Is that right? You have kids, you have a wife,
Yeah, just
entirely
full
off of books. Okay, amazing.
off books. Yeah.
And what's so cool is that you're doing it again in one of the most isolated parts of the country. Because one of the complaints I hear a lot is like, "Oh, I can't do this because I live in XYZ." But Minot's not the smallest town, but what's the population? Like 30,000-ish, 50?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
it's
think it's
like
30.
small-ish. And you're able to sustain an entire family off of selling books on eBay, not even on Amazon, which is incredible. First of all, let's go back. How did you get started selling books on eBay?
So the first time I was reading this zine about selling books, Comic Bus, and I was sick at home with COVID.
I know the one you're talking. I have it right here, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna pull it up while you're talking.
Yeah, I was sick at home with COVID and I was a fevered thought and I was like, I think I can make this work. So I bought like, two lots on eBay for $200 just as a gamble. And then like bought some like plastic bags and bagged them up and listed them on eBay like 10 bucks a piece. And I think I made like $800 off like $200. So then I did it again and then I seen this lot of occult books for $3,400. And then I was like, I think I can afford that. So I bought it. And from there just took off with the like that niche of the occult stuff.
So you started
And
out, this is all you're buying on eBay and reselling back on eBay at this point.
yeah. And I've
Okay.
only so this year is my third year of selling books. And so like the previous 2 years, it was just nothing but sourcing on eBay and other book sites and shops online.
Okay. So I didn't realize that. So your first 2 years you were sourcing entirely online, and
Yeah,
then you shifted over the last year to shift sourcing offline as well.
yeah.
Okay,
So
awesome.
this, yeah.
What percentage with amongst your online sourcing, so that part of the
Mhm.
pie right now, what
Yeah.
percentage are you sourcing on eBay versus other sites?
Let's see. Maybe now it's mostly on going to thrift stores and bookstores.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
actually let's do the whole pie. Okay, so
okay.
what ratio is online to offline right now, if you had to guess?
So let's see. Like I'm selling maybe like 30% online books and 80 or yeah, 70% other sources like in real life.
3D world. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And so then now let's focus on the online sourcing specifically. What percentage are you still sourcing on eBay versus other sources online?
Let's see. I would say like I rarely do it now.
You rarely
Um,
source on eBay now?
yeah, I
Okay, okay. Got
probably
it.
do like maybe 5 books a year now on
Okay, so it's
eBay.
like basically nothing. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. By the way, those are curious what he read that got him inspired to sell in books. It wasn't apparently a YouTube channel. It was just like weird. One of the things we're both into that's not a very well-known author, but this Aaron Comic Bus, but he had a self-published kind of novella called Bestiary of Booksellers. Really cool. He's an awesome writer and he sells books. He actually owns a couple bookstores in New York City now, but this is specifically about his experiences selling books on the street in, I think, in Manhattan. So
Yeah,
I think it's
then
a very, what's
and
that?
then from there I found that sidewalk book. He's talking about that sidewalk, and then so I bought that and I
Oh, wait,
consumed
what is
that
that? What is the sidewalk book?
with the New York booksellers
Oh,
where they
okay,
sell like
okay,
the books on sidewalks and stuff.
okay, okay, cool. Interesting. And then from there, you just did you at any point did you start to go down the YouTube? I know you've seen my videos, but if you did you start to look at like YouTube or what was your net after that? What was your next source of information?
I think it was YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a like this book peddler guy, and he was like sourcing books on like flea markets and antique shops, and then from there, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So there's several things about your business I thought were fascinating when we were talking. Let's get into the type of books you sell because this is one I think is the most interesting. You sell books that I wouldn't touch, not for
Oh
any like
yeah.
moral reasons or anything. It's just I just have never gone into those directions. So you sell lots of occult books you talked about. What are some of your favorite? Let's get into this. What are the weirdest categories that you find a lot of profit in right now?
See, definitely like the vintage, like paperback, like the smut stuff.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
what you're
like
talking about. It,
that, and like drugs and stuff like that.
just the real estate. So
Just
I
like the
wanted
culture stuff. Yeah.
yeah, like the counter. The reason I left it open ended because I didn't know if you wanted to volunteer. But one of the things I thought was funny when we met is you were talking about how vintage smut. I don't know if that's like the actual literary term, but for lack of a better word, does really well on eBay. I don't even know if I ever came across books like that. But I was telling you the story. The way we started talking about this is I was telling you the story apropos of nothing about a friend of mine in Philadelphia who owns a bunch of real estate and he bought a house and he found in the attic like boxes like thousands. This is gonna send cover your ears if you have sensitive ears, but of like incest smut, like literary, like from like the 50s or something, like really crazy messed up stuff. And I was telling you this story again apropos of nothing, and you were like, "Oh yeah, that's smut. That does really well." You're like casually like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's profitable." I was like, "Oh, I didn't know."
Then I show you that picture of that book I had to.
Yeah, oh
Remember
yeah, you showed me on your
that?
phone. You were like, "Oh yeah, I've got a bunch of stuff for sale." So apparently it does really well on eBay. I personally never gone there, but okay, so you sell some of that stuff. Where do you can you talk like where do you find
Usually like the like bookstores, like
Okay,
actual like bookstores, like they have the section blocked off, and I just go straight for that spot. They're
interesting.
usually like $2, dollar, and you can easily make like some sell like 30, 40 plus dollars, and nobody goes for that. I don't know.
I'm the gears are turning in my head. I'm trying to figure out if either I've been blind to this all these years or if this is like a Midwest thing or like a Great Plains thing or what? Because I cannot I spend a lot of time in bookstores. I don't ever remember seeing a smut section, but maybe I just block it out. I don't know.
Hmm.
Have you encountered this outside of like a one state radius of North Dakota?
Yeah,
You have? Okay, so I'm just an idiot.
yeah.
So I just don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, cool. So interesting. Okay, so that stuff does well. And so lots of occult stuff, which I think is really interesting. Lots of drug stuff. If you're sourcing in a 3D environment, because I don't encounter much of what you're describing,
Yeah,
like a
I
secondhand
never
market.
either.
So you have
Yeah,
to go to like bookstores.
yeah.
Okay. Or what, antique stores, I assume would also be a good source or no?
Sometimes, but rarely do I find it there either.
Okay, so mostly bookstores.
Yeah,
Okay. What about talk to me about some of your offline sources that are maybe a little bit offbeat. You going to flea markets? Like where are you going?
mostly thrift stores. See, thrift stores, adult shops, like the one here in town, like they have 100, 200 like old 90s like regular magazines like Esquire and stuff like that, and video game
Oh.
magazines, and I'll just buy them for 99 cents. And
Oh, okay.
just like
Wait, go back to
regular stuff.
something you just said. When you said bookstores where you find the smuts, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but where you find the
Oh yeah.
smut stuff, are those adult bookstores or regular bookstores?
Oh, regular
Oh,
bookstores.
okay, okay. That's what I thought.
Like sometimes if it says like book and magazine, I'll definitely go to that
That's
one.
a clue. Okay.
Yeah.
And so with the magazines, because I didn't even know you did, I don't know if we even talked about this before. So you're selling old magazines online. Are you selling them as lots or individually?
Like the video game stuff, I will sell as lots, but I find like Esquire and GQs and stuff from like the 90s at this place here in Minot. List them for $15 and make, yeah, quick money.
Okay, wow, interesting. Because magazines are something that I haven't even I've dabbled in, but not much. So that's really interesting to me. Okay, I'm gonna jump around a little bit here, but my biggest question with eBay, and I'm asking this for selfish reasons because I'm trying to figure out if I should open the door to eBay. The biggest mental hurdle I have is with Amazon, you've got an app, get Scoutly, whatever, and you can see the demand, you see the sales rank, you
Hmm.
can see, you can look items up very easily and also assess their demand. My sense is that is not possible on eBay. How do you determine whether something is sellable or not? How do you assess its value? Are you able to assess its demand? Let's start with value and then we'll work to demand. How do you assess an item's value before you list it on eBay?
Let's see. Usually I go to sold listings, or if it's like say something like this, I will Google it and like base my value around that. But if it sells for say like this, I paid like 75 for, and it sells for three, 400. Yeah, let's say $400.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's focus on that book specifically since you brought some examples. So,
Okay,
where did you find that book?
eBay.
Oh, you got it on eBay. Okay.
Yeah,
And you paid 75 for it.
yeah.
And why did it catch your eye?
Just interesting looking to me.
Is
Just
it
like
a
that
drug book or is it like mushrooms to eat?
mushrooms, like psychedelic mushrooms and
Drugs.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so you knew that was a weird category that tends to do
yeah.
well. So you see it on eBay, you see the price. At that point, do you look at the value on Amazon immediately or do you look for closed listings on eBay at that point? Like what?
First thing I'll do is close listings, like sold, and then from there, if I see it sells for like maybe double, triple what I pay, then I'll go to Google Images and search the title, and then I'd look for other copies of it, and I'll buy three, four copies or something.
Oh, interesting. So that copy you bought on eBay and you're selling back on eBay, but you will also
Yeah,
comparison shop across other websites and just find, but you'll
so
use
yeah,
eBay as like your starting point.
yeah.
Okay.
So like something like this, like I bought three copies of this one book.
Wait,
It's like,
turn it 180 so I can see there we go.
oh, wait, is it that way?
Manchurian. Wait, okay, so what is that?
So it's a complete Enochian dictionary,
Okay.
and I've found three of them online for $100, and I've sold one so far for 500. So I was like, I went to Google Images and I'll find other copies of it, and just like finally control the market a little bit.
So you're buying up basically all the cheap copies.
Yeah,
So then you own, if you want a copy on the internet, you have to come through you at that point.
yeah.
That's fascinating.
So like
So
I treat my books like the stock
yeah,
market or something. Yeah,
interesting. Because that's what Warren Buffett does, right? If he wants a price for something to go up, he has so much capital that if he buys something, the price goes up, so he can control his own. Okay, interesting. Okay, so are you only your corner of the book selling world is the really fringe, esoteric
yeah,
stuff, like controversial stuff.
yeah, definitely.
Okay, what percentage of what you sell would you say is in that realm versus out?
So if I really want to make like a quick dollar, like I will list something like that pretty quick, and like I'll sell like maybe five books and be good for a month of bills and everything else.
Okay, if I looked at your eBay store right now, would I see? Would it be entirely fringe controversial stuff? Would it be 50%, 99%? What would it be?
It'd be like I think I have like three three books,
Oh, three.
and then yeah,
Oh, okay. So because I thought you were selling like entirely the weird controversial stuff.
no, I'm like hoarding a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, so
So
when you say, yeah, go ahead.
okay, so like right now, I go like buy like cheap thrift store books, and then I'll turn that into something like that, and I'll let it sit for a while.
Oh, okay. So you roll profit from
Mm,
faster moving, less fringe inventory into rare, actually rare books,
yeah,
and you'll buy them up and you'll sit on them. You wait for the value to increase,
yeah.
and then you will, how do you know when to sell them?
I guess when I run out of bookshelf space.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were telling me that you have a chest, like a secret
Mm,
chest of the really rare stuff, and you're
yeah.
prepared to sit on that for years. It's like your retirement nest egg, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to share this because I don't, I personally wouldn't advertise if I had $100,000 worth of stuff in my place. But like, how
Yeah.
much would you say is value is in that in that chest?
Uh, I think right now it's like 140, over
Wow,
140,000, and that's three years of just doing this and just buying low and selling high and keeping the good stuff.
that is so interesting. So it's almost like people that start a business, they take the profits, they roll into gold bars or some other like safe, what do they call it? Like store of value that's just gonna either pace inflation or outpace it, but like at least
Mhm.
minimum pace inflation. Wow, this
Yeah,
is fascinating.
I read this book, and it was like collectibles are like a real good like asset, and so I had that thought in my head and just been going with it. It's pretty.
When do you are you scientific about it in terms of I'm going to take X percentage of my profit and put into these long-term collectible assets, or is it just random? You just buy stuff when you find it?
Just buy whenever I find it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So amongst your, I'm interested in this chest. Amongst this chest, what
Hmm.
do you feel like you control the market? Like how much of what's in your chest do you feel like you own a significant percentage of the loose copies that are floating around the world? Is it like, do you understand what I'm asking? Like,
Yeah.
is that what qualifies something to get in the chest where you basically are the only
Yeah.
one? Oh, interesting. Wow.
Yeah. Like that one book I sent you with the NBC one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. A few people
Wow.
have even said just go to an auction house with that one.
Yeah, you were showing. I won't even talk about what that book is because I don't want to
Yeah.
offend anybody. But yeah, Jesse texted me this book, and dude, can I talk about the TV network aspect of it?
Sure.
Yeah, so Jesse had a book, and it's such a rare book that I guess NBC did a story that mentioned this book, and they used Jesse's photo from eBay because it was the apparently only existing photo they can get their hands on at least. God, it's fascinating. So, first of all, I'm going all over the place. I want to get back to, we talked about assessing value and demand. So I want to get back to
Mm.
demand here in a second, but we're going some interesting directions. So the other question I want to ask you is, speaking of controversial subjects, does eBay ever take stuff down? Do they have rules?
Yeah, I've had like four books taken down so far.
Only four. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know specific? Because I'll tell you this, there's a book, I just talked about this in a video I just actually just went up today called Nobody Died at Sandy Hook.
Yeah.
And eBay would not let me sell that book. You can't sell it on Amazon either.
Yeah.
And so that to me, although it's certainly a controversial subject, it's a conspiracy theory book. Should be obvious. Although it's controversial, it feels very much less controversial to me than some other stuff I do see on eBay. So do you know what their
Mm.
specific rules are?
I'm not too sure, but I feel like it's whenever somebody reports it or something. Like I feel like sometimes people
Okay.
like will report it. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So they just wait. Although
Yeah.
it's been a while, but my memory is maybe someone reported. My sense was that when I tried to list the Sandy Hook book that
Okay.
it
Yeah.
was
Like it.
automated, like they
Yeah.
flagged the title. Huh.
Yeah.
But you don't encounter that often. That's interesting. By the way, eBay's based on some of the stuff I know you sell, it's pretty wild to me. They're banning the Sandy Hook book, but they're allowing other stuff. Other stuff.
Yeah. There's some books where like people are selling it, but then when I list it, it gets taken down like right
Oh,
away.
they flag it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get back to demand because this is the other probably the biggest hurdle I have. I factor in, I think all Amazon sellers do, demand into whatever they purchase. There is no way, as far as I can tell, you're going to correct me, to measure demand on eBay. I guess you can look at closed sold listings, but
Yeah.
there's no sales rank version. eBay doesn't have a
Hmm.
version of sales rank. So how do you know if something's going to sell or not, or do you even care?
So like I will do the sold listings, but then if it's I will, like I said, I'll use Google and compare other prices. Like some books I like look up and somebody's selling it on Amazon for 2,500 or something like that. And it's like the only copy, then I'll know it's like worth grabbing.
Okay. So you go more off of value than you do demand.
Yeah.
What is your average selling price? Do you know roughly?
I haven't looked this year, but last year it was $2, I think.
Okay, wow. So we should have led with this because this gives you a lot of insight into what Jesse's business is for those of us those people watching. That you're focused almost entirely on collectible books.
Yeah.
Okay. So
And but so that was when I was living in a smaller town, like 60 miles away from every thrift store. But this year, I'm pretty sure my average sale price has went down since like that a bunch of like bag book sales and stuff around here.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went to a library sale recently. You said you did really well. How
Mm,
did that go?
that was pretty good. There was one scanner there, but
Oh, there was.
so yeah. So I was like in front of him and was grabbing what I while he was like scanning every book, I was like in front of him grabbing like all the Bibles and all the
Sounds a little
like
hostile.
yeah.
Yeah, how often do you see other people scanning? Was that a first?
So I've only seen three scanners since I've been doing this. Yeah.
And they're not very, I think you were telling me they're not very zealous. They don't seem very consistent.
Not really. Like sometimes I like kind of like to see what they're grabbing. And I'm like, why would you grab?
Yeah,
But
it's fun to
yeah.
go up behind people scan and just see how much they leave behind.
Yeah. And yeah,
Um,
he wasn't grabbing any like bar or non-barcode books. He just like scanning all the barcodes. So
okay. And, and so how well did you were saying you did pretty well. How well do you expect to, how much do you expect to profit from that sale?
see, this weekend I made 700 so far, but I'm thinking like almost 4,000 maybe between four and five from just that one book sale. And I was there for 2 hours.
Wow. And this what's incredible about this. One, it's all eBay. Two, you said $700 since last weekend. So we're recording this on a Wednesday. So 3 or 4 days, you've done $700 in sales.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
And it was off $100, like 120, I think.
Gosh, wow. Amazing. So let's, okay. Because what the blind spot I have here, and I think a lot of people, because most people watching this are going to be Amazon sellers. The blind spot I have here is I'm still hung up on how whether something is a book you should purchase to sell or not. So in other words, let's go through the entire process. So
Okay.
first of all, the first thing you have to do. I'll let you go through this, and I'll just let you freestyle here. But let me just tell you what I think happens. You pick up a book solely based on its subject matter. So you're filtering out everything based on your knowledge. And at that point, you I'm gonna let you tell. I'm actually just gonna let you talk because I don't know what happens.
Okay. So first thing I do is I look for weird keywords and like publishers and stuff like that. And then depend on like how much my cost is of goods. It was like 5, 6 cents. I'm just grabbing it. And usually a lot of those same publishers is like the same category. And if say it's like history of North Dakota, like I'll put them together in a lot or whatever. And yeah, just you just have that intuition, like it's worth something. Like I've never seen that before. I'm gonna grab it.
Yeah. And okay, so I am jumping around. I want to pause that for a second. One question that came to mind is, what percentage of books do you sell, or your listings on eBay are lots versus individual books?
See, right now, I think I only have one lot, but yeah, I think I only have one lot right now.
Okay.
Like 70 books. It was at almost 100. Every time I get to almost 100, I just get sales.
Okay. And wait, sorry, I missed that. When you said 100, you mean 100 individual listings?
Yeah, right
So how
now.
many, okay, so that's on average, you hover around that on any given moment. Like how many
Yeah,
listings do you have? About 100, 70,
yeah,
100? Okay. Okay, so back to what we were talking about. You filter everything out. You're like, this looks weird. This looks, I always use the word niche, but niche.
yeah.
And then you go, okay, so now I'm going to confirm it's something I want to sell. Do you rely solely on your intuition, or do you at that point are you like in the library sale looking up books?
Usually, like if it's like my cost of goods is so low, like I'll just grab it. but I rarely look at anything up in like library sales and stuff.
This is fascinating. This is so fascinating. So I understand why you're doing lots of due diligence when you're sourcing online, because one, your cost of goods is higher. Two, you just have the luxury of time. But if you're an
Mm,
offline source, this is fascinating for Amazon sellers. This is probably blowing people's minds. Like you don't even have to look anything up. You just, it's going to be worth money. Is that
yeah.
because the eBay fees are so, part of that is the eBay fees are so low, right? What are
Oh
the eBay fees
yeah.
right now?
I can't remember. Was it like 18% or something?
Oh, it's that much. I didn't know it's that much.
Maybe it's lower.
Yeah, but this is the fact that you don't know is awesome because it means you have the luxury of not knowing, which means your margins are huge. Okay, so let's just say it's 18%, whatever it is. The fact that you're gonna make money as a whole, how often do you lose? How often do you like what percentage of books just never sell?
Maybe like usually when I do like the bag sales, those are like the worst ones.
Hmm.
But maybe 10-15% of my books.
Okay.
Yeah. But oh, was that?
Go ahead.
Oh, let's say like sometimes I don't know where they will just sell for no reason, like no watchers or anything, and they'll just sell.
Still to sell.
Yeah.
How do you know when it's time to pull a book off of eBay? Like how long are you willing to sit on a book?
Let's see, maybe I let it sit for maybe a month and a half or something. Now I'll just take it to the bookstore and get like store credit. I've never like I just started doing that just recently.
That is that's it's
Remember that?
crazy. So you're the longest you will wait for turnover is 6 weeks. That's insane. I'm very inspired. And you take the book. That's funny. You take the book, and so then you do you buy
Well,
books
yeah.
to
buy
resell? Oh,
buy
that's
books
so
or
cool.
read,
Oh, okay,
read or sell.
or,
Yeah.
or resell. Okay. So again, I just want to recap. You go into a library sale, any source, no scanning involved. I doubt there. As far as I know, there is not even an app for eBay sellers. So you just go, okay, that looks profitable. That looks profitable. You gather everything together. Your cost of goods are low. You realize it's a gamble. You still only end up not selling 10 to 15% of your books, despite not have being able to verify anything with through any sort of objective numerical, whatever we call it, analysis. And you're supporting your entire family. Like it's bonkers. Okay, this is wild. And how do you price? Do you just go based on the last sold price, or is it more complicated than that?
Usually, so I will do the last sold price, but then I'll also look at like the book condition. If my book's in like better condition than that one or any others listed, I will list it higher.
Let's talk about the listing process. What does that involve? Because that's another thing, another hurdle Amazon's sellers have. Because it's really easy to list things on Amazon. The photos are already there.
Hmm.
You can have your condition descriptions pre-saved and software, blah blah blah. Can you just walk me through when you list something for sale? How many photos do you upload? What does the description look like? Does it matter? Where do you put your time? Do you put your time in the title? What's important?
So usually I do more like antiquarian books. So I usually just let my pictures do the talking, and then I'll just put see photos and like it's just like that. It's
That's
pretty
it.
quick, maybe less than like a minute to do like a listing.
Wow.
And then
And
I just
then is the what do they call it, the title for the listing? Do you try to
hmm.
optimize that, or is it just title author, or what is it?
Then I'll put like keywords in there and stuff if it's like rare or like the subject or something like that, and like the author and all that.
This is fascinating. And but the description you feel like is just useless. It just says see photos.
Yeah. And I've sold like almost, was it like what, 1.6 thousand in sales, and I've never put like anything other than just see photos.
Wow, so 1.6 thousand individual books you sold or
Yeah.
listings? Oh wow. Okay. Interesting. I was gonna ask you that. So that's over the last 3 years. That's very interesting. Wow. How many? Sorry, I actually forgot if I asked you this already. Sorry, I'll cut this if it's redundant. How many photos do you upload?
Depends. If I do see like condition issues on a book, then I will take pictures. It just depends. If it's like a $500 book, I'm using all 24 pictures.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And because that was gonna be my next thought. If you're selling mostly to antiquarian book buyers, I feel like they would need more than just see description. But
Yeah.
apparently I'm wrong. Or do you actually fill out the description more if it's an expensive book?
No, I
Oh,
just
you
let
don't?
the photos.
Wow. That's wild. One question I had, have you ever compared the books that you sell, the value of the books that you sell on eBay to the corresponding selling price on Amazon at that moment? Is one
Um,
significantly higher?
yeah. Usually I'll see the Amazon prices are like way higher.
None of this makes sense. It's like you're
And
selling for
then
like lower than Amazon prices, but
mhm.
but it's I guess I've been wrong all these years. I don't know. Maybe one of my theories is that because my momentum, I'm only listing every time I go to list a book, list on eBay, it's like I'm gonna list 5 books, and then I feel
Yeah.
like nobody buys. So momentum is a big thing, right? Like eBay rewards action, right? They reward listings, volume. Like you get shadow banned if you're only listing a few things. Is that accurate?
I'm not too sure. I feel like it's just if you're just listing what people want, then yeah.
That's all that matters. So you don't remember a
Yeah.
time when you got started where you were like really struggling to get
No.
sales? Huh. All right, that's just me then. I was like, I was trying to blame anything other than myself. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I must be shadow banned. All right, I guess it's just me. Okay, so Amazon prices are more. That's why. And if eBay commissions are 18%, that's definitely significantly less than Amazon, but still, I thought eBay commissions were like 5. What do I know? I rarely sell on eBay, but that's a lot more than I thought. What are some of the weirdest places that you source? Even not necessarily consistently, but that you've ever sourced. Like you said,
Hmm.
adult bookstores. I thought that was interesting.
Let's see. Adult bookstores. Those little free those little free libraries.
Oh,
Um, but
that is a
but
party
but
foul.
but I put more books in there. I put
No, I get it. I have personally donated thousands to the one that's near my house, and I can't bring myself to source from it. But I feel like there was a
oh,
new store. Go ahead.
oh yeah, there's this, I've only done maybe like twice, and it was like a Bible and like another book on like the Federal Reserve. Yeah, I
Look,
did.
know if it's the one thing you can say is you're definitely guaranteeing it will get in the hands of someone who'll appreciate it. I feel like most of the books I donate to a little free library end up just going to
There's
people to just grab things because they're free.
yeah.
So, in a sense, you're doing a service by making sure that you're getting the books in the hands of people that actually will appreciate them. So there is that. Some friend came to me and was like, they're like, I just saw something on the news about people
Yeah.
selling books from a little free library, or maybe that was you. Somebody was telling me that, and I was like, that wasn't me. I swear. Okay, so I'm jumping around a lot. Shipping prices. How do you set the shipping price?
Usually I have a set price that like I I do it myself, so like I'll have it like a set price usually. Like I can
Everything like a fixed.
like I could tell a little bit how much it will be.
Okay,
Like yeah.
so
So
you just
usually
round up.
like 538 or 671 or something.
Is there any science behind those prices, or is it random? In other words, like,
Um
how do you arrive at those figures?
Usually like the hardcover ones are a little bit heavier, so I do 671 or something.
So when you say 671, is that like your actual cost to ship, or are you buffering
Yeah.
for, oh, that's the actual cost to ship. Okay. So you don't buffer for the envelope and whatever.
No, I dumpster dive all my boxes and
You do not pass it
so
on to the consumer. You pass your savings on to the consumer.
yeah.
That's funny. Dumpster dive your boxes, you get your envelopes for free. So
I think the only my only shipping cost is my tape. And that's like a dollar or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like so if you're selling an answer a book that say it's selling for $100, do you bubble
Mm.
wrap it? How do you ship that?
So depends if it's 500 or more, I will bubble wrap it, but usually I put it like a bag and then use like newspaper and pack it in there real good so it's like not shaking around or anything.
Mm. If
And
it if it's
oh
a hundred
good.
dollar book, are you putting in an envelope or a box? Are you just like
Um
wrapping in paper in an envelope?
uh Box.
Oh, a box. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, I'm checking out my notes here. Any other, I cut you off, but any other weird sources besides the little free library?
Uh Not really. Yeah, I think just like adult shops usually, but
Yeah.
I think that one's kind of weird. Like most people won't really want to go into that or something.
Yeah, I personally would not step. And I do think, I guess I can't say it's a Midwest thing, but I do think those are dying nationwide.
Oh yeah,
So, but North Dakota is awesome. That whole part of the country is because it's 10 years back, which I love. Okay, what's the most expensive book you've ever sold?
was I think it was like 1100. and I
Wow.
found it at the thrift store for 50 cents.
Wow. Can you tell us what the book was?
I think it was Life on the Plains by General Custer. And it just looked pretty awesome. So I grabbed it, and that one it sat for maybe a month or two, and then yeah, somebody bought it.
Wow. So is that's like an actual antiquarian book? Do you know
Yeah.
what year is published, roughly?
Was it like 18, was it 1897 or something
Wow.
like that? Yeah.
Wow. Dude, I never even look at those because in my mind, it's just by the time I'm done researching this, 20
Mm,
minutes will have passed and I could have scanned a million books and I never do it. I just never do it. It's
mm.
amazing. Okay, definitely very inspiring. What about the weirdest? I know you specialize in weird books, so I don't know if this is possible, but is there a book where you're just like, this is so wild?
Definitely like the alt-right type stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, like
I like real, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Wow. What does a typical day look like for you? You could even tell us about hanging out with your kid. I'm just curious. You're doing decent numbers. You have a nice place. You've got a family. You were able to retire your wife. Is that fair to
Yeah.
say? Incredible. And you're living pretty well. And what does a day look like on average for you?
So usually in the mornings I wake up, get my orders out, and then just hang out with my family and kids and stuff, and go out and do things. Like a couple of days ago we went to the pumpkin patch and stuff like that.
I noticed you haven't said anything about book sourcing. When does that happen?
Vulgar, but usually when I'm in the restaurant.
Wait. Oh, okay, got it. So
So yeah,
so
like on my phone,
you're
like I'll
sourcing
just,
online.
yeah.
Okay. And then so you don't set aside time. It's not like you're not like every day from noon to whatever. You just do it when
No.
you feel like it.
Yeah.
And then offline sourcing, are you systematic about that, or is that just when you feel like it too?
Usually when I'm like bored, like I'm only like a minute walk from the like two thrift stores. So it's like if I'm bored, I'll just walk over there and take a look.
That's funny. That's so crazy, man. So I thought it was funny when we met. I took you over to my car, which, by the way, people
Oh
think,
yeah.
oh, these people on YouTube, they're a fake seller. Tell the audience, we met. I walked you 20 feet to my car. What did you see in the
Yeah.
back?
Nothing but books.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so anyway, but I thought it was funny that I showed you a book that I just found at the Goodwill,
Mm.
and I was like, oh yeah, it's like a $15 book. And I was like going through the books, and you're like, oh yeah, I donated that to the
And that
Goodwill.
one and that bread one, those
Oh,
were
I don't even
both
remember the
mine.
bread one. That's funny. And so those didn't sell for you, but they had Amazon value, which is just funny that there's two different
Mm.
markets. I still haven't sold that book, by the way, so maybe you were right, but that's so funny. So I'm struggling to think of anything else to ask you. I'm just impressed with this whole thing. Again, if we listed off the objections the average Amazon seller has to doing well, one of them is geography. You've obliterated that.
Mm.
Like everyone, seriously, go look up Minot, North Dakota. Actually,
And
let's
like
talk about this. How far do you
but
travel? How often do you take sourcing road trips?
maybe 5 times a year, maybe.
Okay, 5 times a year.
Yeah.
How often do you, okay, so does that include trips that you take for other reasons where you happen to source, or is that just
Just
specifically
just
dedicated?
specifically for
Okay.
sourcing.
And then you source when you're taking trips for other reasons, right?
Yeah.
And then how many
So
kind of
like
just like family trips do you take like that?
maybe like 10 a year or something. Yeah, we
Okay.
just got back from like a 2 week trip. And yeah, I was trying not to source, but there's like sometimes I just like
You
couldn't
have to.
couldn't help myself.
Yeah. Okay, so you're out of Minot maybe 15 times a year, which is not a lot. And when you take a sourcing road trip, what does that look like? Do you have a specific destination, or are you just like staying in motion just to have fresh sources?
Let's see. Usually we like plan like to stay at another city, and then I'll get on my phone and I'll start looking up like sources and stuff.
Okay. Let's go back to this chest. I want to
Okay.
know. I want to know what your
I'll have to send
long-term.
you a picture of it.
You don't even have to. I'll start salivating. It'll get weird. What what is your long-term plans for the chest? Is that like retirement fund? Because books are never, those are never going to go down in value. We can safely
Exactly.
assume that. So is that they're going to be worth 1 million in 15 years, and I'm going to buy a palace, or what's the plan?
I'm not too sure. I never really thought too much about the future. Like eventually I really want to like own my own bookshop, start a bookstore, and then just gonna have them in the background, just kind of bring people in.
Oh, just here's what I've, yeah, is it the case, the rare
Here's some weird
bookcase?
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. God, man, I had this situation where I had a book collection. I won't go into the whole story, but I had a relative, I don't want to go into the whole thing, but basically I had a relative help move me out of a place when I was not there, and they ended up selling my entire book collection. Like super shady. Well, I don't talk to that person to this day, but I went back to the bookstore where I know they sold the books to, and I had to see my personal collection in their case, dude, for like years. I would just look at it. I'm like, I'm not gonna spend $400. I had all these books, like How to Read Lips, like a book for police officers, like a training manual. It's like wild stuff, and they just stuff I didn't even intend to sell. It was my personal collection. Anyway, I had to vent, so you're just gonna sit on it and just see what happens.
Yeah.
The bookstore thing is interesting to me. I thought about that myself. There's been definitely some notable examples of big Amazon sellers opening bookstores. So I think that's a very cool idea. What would you open that? Would you plan to open that in Minot?
I think I would. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so I think about doing that myself sometimes. That's a good like for me that'd be a good like retirement business. But anyway, do you ever think about scaling up? Do you ever think about doing what you're doing now on a bigger level, having employees? Do you ever think in that direction, or are you pretty comfortable?
I think I'm pretty comfortable. Yeah.
Cool.
Just less work.
Dude, that's how I am. And there's all these people on YouTube now that like meet the seven-figure Amazon seller. And I'm just like, I've always been the one that's just here to buy my time back and to work as little as possible. And so it's no disrespect to either whatever path people take, but I'm like you, where I'm just like, if I can work 20 hours a week and live really well, that's awesome. So I think we're in the same place there. I'm just curious. I don't know if this is too personal, but are you willing to share? Do you have the eBay app in front of you? Can you show us your recent revenue, whether it's like, I don't know, 30, we just say 30 days, 90 days, whatever you want. I don't know if that's too intrusive, but I think that'd be interesting for people. Wow, 13 that okay. What is that? Is that 30 or 90 days?
90 days.
90 days, $13,000 in 90 days. Man.
Sad. And I've never made that much in my life.
Oh, really? Okay. Now,
Yeah.
you mean that is this your biggest 90-day period ever? Or you
Or
mean
no, I've had $8,000 months and stuff like that.
okay. Just
Yeah.
before eBay, you never made this much.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's so
It's
awesome. Okay, so listen, hopefully you don't invite any competitors with this video, but I think a lot of Amazon sellers are going to be inspired. Maybe I'm late to the game here. Maybe I'm the only one that has been really had their guard up about eBay, but I'm definitely inspired. Okay,
what
I want the world to know Minot's awesome. Don't move there. Leave Jesse's turf alone, but I'm definitely going to be back there sometime, so we'll hang out again soon.
cool.
So, dude,
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing this interview. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks.